Hello again, fellow BeachBum traders. Today we want to look at IBM and see via our due diligence if IBM is a good long-term investment. IBM has been a beat-down stock for a number of years, and it's come down in recent developments, and we want to take a look at IBM again and see if this is something we might want to watch and or buy for a long-term investment. Full disclosure, we are currently long IBM already, and also I am a former certified senior consultant with the IBM Consulting Group's Application Solutions Consulting Practice in Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia from 1994 to 1998, and anyone that wants to talk further about my experience with the IBM Consulting Group back then when it was originally formed, please leave me a comment and we can chat more about it. But let's dig in and let's look at IBM now and see if this is something that would be good for a long-term hold, a long-term investment. I trust that all of you are familiar with IBM, but just to quickly review what their business description currently focuses on, we can see nowadays they're focusing on hybrid cloud. They have the Watson AI platform, and we'll look at that in a little more detail. The past couple years, they acquired Red Hat, which is a Linux, a Unix operating system, again for their hybrid multi-cloud environment. And we could talk a little bit more detail about, what does that mean? What's the competitive advantage in that area? They have products called Cloud Paks, WebSphere. So again, they're focusing on this hybrid cloud idea. They also have some blockchain technologies. Again, we talked about the AI Watson platform. They have some Internet of Things, IoT focus, and again, we'll review their current spin-off of the Kyndryl infrastructure services piece of the business. So they recently split the business off, and they took their part of their global services business, focused on their infrastructure, and spun it off in a separate company called Kyndryl, and kept the hybrid cloud, AI focused pieces in the IBM stock. And again, this is a recent development. They're based in Armonk, New York. They have a lot of offices up in the New York area. I've been up to many of them: Palisades, Somers, Fishkill, etc. So if we look at their home page, which you can easily access, it's just ibm.com. That's easy to find. And we look at what they're focusing on again with the spin-off of Kyndryl, which is their more low growth pieces of their services business. Now they're trying to focus on the growth pieces of their businesses, heavily focused on AI, cloud, etc. And again, I'll talk about what opportunities that offers, but we can see again it's cloud, AI focused. We can see, Watson, a lot of focus on Watson, hybrid cloud stuff, again, hybrid cloud, Watson, automation, analytics, security, 5G, IoT type stuff, products, blockchain. So again, they've got a lot of the buzzwords nowadays in the remaining IBM piece: the hybrid cloud, blockchain, etc. Some supply chain stuff. We can talk about that, but again, a focus more on hybrid cloud, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, Kubernetes, which is a Red Hat related hybrid cloud. technology, DevOps, again, a hybrid cloud type thing, and machine learning, which is an AI thing. So again, they're focused now within IBM on AI, hybrid cloud, Watson, Red Hat, again Linux, hybrid cloud type stuff. So let's dig into our due diligence and let's see if, from a stock perspective, if this is a good long-term investment, long-term hold. So as I mentioned, IBM recently separated portions of its business off into a new company called Kyndryl. Back on November 3rd, they completed that separation, and let's quickly review what does that mean. What did they split into Kyndryl, and what did they retain in IBM? I'll leave a link to this article in the description box below so you can review it in more detail. But if we quickly take a look at this press release, it said they had announced the completion of their separation, separating their infrastructure services business to Kyndryl. So that's the piece, the primary piece that they split off into Kyndryl. And then Kyndryl is trading now on the New York Stock Exchange as under the ticker symbol KD. IBM still trades, and the remaining pieces of IBM still trade under IBM. And you can see at that time, if you were holding IBM stock, which we were not at the time of that separation, stockholders got stock in both IBM, and they got 1 share of Kyndryl stock for every 5 shares of IBM stock they had. And you can see the CEO is talking about, okay, the separation allows them to focus on hybrid cloud, AI, technology, and again, growth objectives. So Arvind Krishna, the new IBM chairman, is saying, okay, IBM is now focused on AI and cloud and growth, and Kyndryl is more of your traditional infrastructure type play. So, and then so you can look at this article in more detail. There's also more commentary about what does this mean in this due diligence. Again, we're just going to focus on IBM. Other than the fact that they split this off into this Kyndryl stock, we're not going to do due diligence on whether Kyndryl is worth pursuing. We're just focusing on the new pieces that are still in IBM. Okay, so let's start our due diligence. As we now typically do, we'll start in ChartMill. I'll leave a link to this profile for IBM and ChartMill in the description box below, and you can use our affiliate link to get your copy of ChartMill. And this is the main profile. Okay, we'll quickly go through this. We can see IBM's been beaten down. It's declined. So again, short-term play, we will see technical rating is very poor right now. The setup is actually not bad at this moment. We can see growth, it's pretty negative right now. Health isn't great now. Valuation and profitability are moderate right now. One of the things that is attractive about IBM in terms of long-term investment, a long-term hold, is its dividend. It's called a dividend aristocrat stock, which means it's held a high dividend and typically increased its dividend slightly over a number of years. So again, it's referred to as a dividend aristocrat stock. And again, that's the thing that makes it attractive for a long-term hold, is its dividend. And we'll look at what is its dividend, how much does it pay, what is that relative to increasing inflation, etc. So if we again look in detail at the stock chart, we're going to see it's been pretty beaten up. We did play this a while back, probably a year or so ago, when it took a dive on earnings, and we played that swing that bounced back from their drop on earnings, made some money. Again, we can see it's dropped off severely, and maybe hopefully we'll be swinging back up. So again, if we look at technical analysis, we would expect it to be relatively negative. It's got good volume, but long, again, all the technical analysis is going to be very negative. Although right now, it's got a setup rating of 7 because it looks like it has possibly bottomed and is turning up. So maybe, it's in the midst of a turnaround, which is, again, something that might make it attractive for a longer term hold. Again, technical rating of 0 right now. So normally that would not be something, for a short-term swing play. Fundamentally, it's showing a rating of 5, so kind of average, not great right now. Profitability is 6, so it's improving, which is positive. Valuation 6, again, positive, improving. And the forward earnings is green. Growth still, it's still negative. It's still got to show that with the new spin-off that it can perform as a growth stock. Health-wise, again, not real great right now. Its current ratios, which would mean it has significant debt, etc. So the health needs to improve as well. But the attractive thing about IBM for a long-term hold, long-term investment is its dividend. So it's an 8 on a dividend. You can see it's currently paying a yearly dividend of 5.6, which is pretty high relative to this kind of stock. And if we think about, the inflation, the Fed's inflation target of 2%, this is a good one to beat inflation because you're beating 2%, you're making 5.6%. So holding this long term would be a good way to help beat inflation, and we can see the dividends growing. Again, this is referred to as a dividend aristocrat stock, and we can see how over the years IBM has increased its dividend. So again, that's what makes IBM attractive as a long-term hold, a long-term investment is its dividend. Now, if we can also get share appreciation in the meantime, that's a bonus, right? That increases the overall yield. So analyst ratings, we've got a 72% buy consensus, so it's currently rating as a buy, so that's positive. We've got a few strong buys, a lot of holds. So we've got 24 analysts, and it's relatively positive. So again, we'll compare that to, what does Webull say, etc. And we'll look at the financials, etc. in more detail in Webull. Okay, let's take a quick look at IBM's profile in Seeking Alpha and see if we see any additional information. I'll leave a link to this IBM profile in Seeking Alpha in the description box below. We do a quick scroll through the analysis and news. We can see Red Hat, change. Here's LTI and IBM setting up an innovation center in India. We can see they acquired a consulting firm in Australia and New Zealand, which is a little interesting. And a lot of, typical, here's some more information you can read about the Kyndryl spinoff if you'd like. This is interesting with the new Pentagon contract. Looks like IBM's in the running for that. So again, you can look in more detail. I don't see anything overly positive or negative there. We can see ratings are relatively neutral except for dividend yield, which is very positive. Revenue, not great from an annual basis, quarterly basis. Again, not great and not projected to be good short term. Earnings similarly, it's again short term is the outlook's not super great. So valuation's okay. Again, growth's not positive right now. Return on assets is okay, profitability okay. Again, it's all about their dividend right now. So we can see their dividend growth history is very positive. It looks like it might be flattening out a bit, but high and positive. A lot of institutional ownership. So again, that's very positive, and is not unexpected given its dividend. Altman Z-scores is positive, which is good. Beta is about 1, so it's going to move with the market. It's not heavily shorted. And again, free cash flow is very positive. Again, that allows them to pay their dividend. They do have significant debt, and we saw that in their short ratio. So we'll dig a little deeper, see what we find. Okay, now I'm on the stock screen in Webull, in the online browser version of Webull. And again, you can get our affiliate link for Webull, get 2 or more free stocks in the description box below. If you go to the stock screen, you can search for any symbol, bring up the chart, and then the pane at the bottom has a lot of good detail information to do due diligence. We can see it has a number of tabs. We have a video about how to use the stock screen, how to add things to a watch list in the stock screen. You can see that video. We can see just some of the news, recent news. I want to dig more into the financials because Webull has a nice graph for the financials. We can see income. They pretty much are meeting estimates. Balance sheet. Again, they beat estimates a little bit. Cash flow, again, beating estimates, but it's declining. And financial ratios, they've missed estimates a little bit. Something we'll talk about in more detail is IBM has a tendency to disappoint on their earnings reports and then drop. And we'll talk again in more detail about some of the reasons for that disappointment and drop. Here Webull is showing a hold. I believe Chartmill showed a buy. It's showing 21 analysts, so primarily a hold. We can see where it currently sits relative to its estimates. Not a lot of upside in terms of the analyst targets. We can see it's not going to be heavily shorted. Has significant institutional hold. We see a good mix of ownership, and it's in a number of ETFs. So again, a lot of useful information in Webull where you quickly and easily do some due diligence. We'll see if we see anything else, and then make a determination whether IBM is something that might be good for a long-term hold, long-term investment. Okay, let's also quickly look at IBM's profile of FinViz. I'll leave a link to IBM's profile in FinViz in the description box below. We can see from a technical analysis from the daily chart, we see it's kind of peaked and then declined, and then it had a precipitous drop. We'll see if we can see what the cause of that drop was in a minute. We can see maybe it's reached the bottom, but it's still below its moving average, so could be some downward pressure. We look back at the weekly chart, see a longer-term trend. Again, similarly, we see a little doji there, so maybe it's performing a turnaround. We see the precipitous drop of the pandemic, and then it's peaked a little bit, and it has these drop points. Guessing that those are earnings. And again, I mentioned they have a tendency to drop on their earnings. They disappoint, and but then it'll go back up. So in the past, it's been a decent short-term swing. If you catch those drops on the earnings disappointments, ride it up, get out before the next earnings. And we made some money in the past on that type of play. Now the question is, is this worth holding long term? Are they going to turn around to growth? Or if you want to just hold it for the dividend, So again, from a monthly standpoint, we see it's been declining. It has these cycles of going up and then dropping. So again, that's something to consider. For these intermediate swing plays, it's okay between earnings reports. But if you're looking for a long-term investment hold, you have to be aware of this, and or if you're just holding it for the dividend again. So if we look at the metrics, we can see here it's got the 5.6% dividend, high debt, which is negative, not a lot short. Okay, kind of mixed in terms of the metrics. See, they make a lot of money, but they have high debt. They are paying a good dividend. So if we scroll through the news, we don't see, okay, why did it plunge? I'm sure that was one of the earnings reports. So again, they have a tendency to disappoint and drop on earnings, so it's definitely something you want to consider. You could swing it up between earning reports because it has a tendency to climb. But if you're looking for a swing, you might want to get out before the next earnings report. Okay, finally I wanted to talk about another technology that IBM is focusing on since they're looking at growth and new technologies. And then I'll talk about some of my experiences, observations, and then we'll talk about, is IBM a good long-term investment. The other technology I wanted to quickly mention is their focus on quantum computing, and what does that mean in terms of their long-term prospects. Here's an article back from 2020 where IBM was named one of the top 10 quantum computing companies. And again, I'll put a link to this article in the description box below. We can see some of the other players in quantum computing. But one of the things I wanted to point out specifically to IBM is that they actually are currently offering quantum computing services, and we can see, in their products, they actually have quantum computing solutions. You can currently use quantum computing in their hybrid cloud environment. So this is another long-term focus, opportunity, future technology. Let's look at where this falls on a hype cycle, a Gartner hype cycle, and I'll put a link to this image and the article from which it was taken in the description box below. But we can see as of 2019, if we look at where is quantum computing on the Gartner hype cycle, we can see it's in the innovation. It hasn't reached the peak of expectations, inflated expectations yet. You are starting to hear focus on quantum computing, and it may be reaching a peak of inflated expectations because you can see the time frame for it to achieve plateau is more than 10 years. So it's still a long way out there. It's a huge opportunity, great technology, but it has a long way to go. So it's something I wanted to bring up as a potential future growth area for IBM. I think one of the attractive things about IBM is the fact that they are offering this as a current service. So it is something that's commercialized already. They're continuing to do research in that area, and it has a lot of future opportunity. The question is, will they be able to capitalize on it? And in conclusion, that was one of the things I wanted to point out from my experience with IBM in the past is they've done a lot of great research. They still do a lot of great research into new technologies. They developed Watson. They're into quantum computing. They've done a lot with hardware, with chips, etc. Their challenge, again, my opinion, my experience, so take it for what it's worth, is their ability to sell or capitalize on their research technologies. Same thing with their acquisitions. I don't know how many of you remember when they bought Lotus. They weren't able to really capitalize on that. They went into operating systems. They did, OS2 Warp. That didn't really develop. So again, IBM is great at doing research, great at developing new technologies. The challenge is, can they commercialize? Can they sell this new technology? So that's something to look at in terms of their long-term prospects. Are they really going to be able to develop as a growth company? Are they going to be able to commercialize these new technologies and make money from it? Watson, it's a great technology. Again, they're challenged in terms of their ability to commercialize and make money with these technologies. So it's something to watch for. Again, my observations. In conclusion, if you're looking for a dividend aristocrat type stock, IBM's a great candidate. They pay 5% in terms of dividends. If you're looking for a short to moderate term swing, if you swing it between earnings reports, there's an opportunity there. And currently it's kind of down after again another earnings disappointment. Looks like it might be turning up. So, for 3 months, you might be able to collect a dividend, get some additional yield on its upswing. We're, again, full disclosure, we're currently long IBM. We will hold it as it swings back up. We may get out again when it hits its earnings reports and then pick it back up after it disappoints on earnings again. So we may swing between earnings reports, but if you're looking for a dividend stock that beats inflation, then IBM may be a good long-term hold for you. So we hope that this all helps. We hope that you like our video. Please smash the thumbs up button so that the YouTube algorithm shares this with additional BeachBum traders, and share this with your fellow traders as well. If you're not already subscribed to our BeachBum Trading YouTube channel, we hope you will choose to do so and hit the notify bell icon so you get notified of all of our future videos. And again, please leave your comments, give us some feedback. What do you think of this due diligence on IBM? Do you think IBM is a good long-term investment, a good long-term hold, or not? And if so, why or why not? And is there any other stocks you'd like us to do similar due diligence on? We'd love to hear your feedback in the comments below, or in our Facebook group, etc., or social media sites. We'll leave those in the description box as well. And we look forward to hearing from you. We hope this all helps. Good luck and have a great trading day. Bye.
Thank you again for watching our video. We hope that you liked it. If so, please smash the like button, give us a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing to our BeachBum Trading YouTube channel. Please share this video with your fellow traders and friends. And please give us your feedback and any recommendations for improvement in the comments section below. And let us know what else we can do to help you in your trading career. Thank you again. Good luck and have a great trading day.